Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out with John Rawling, the voice of BT Sport Boxing. We're here, John, for the London-based press conference for a big fight stateside, but it will be shown, of course, on BT Sport. Tyson Fury against Tom Schwarz. What can people expect from this fight?
Well, I think people are going to expect Tyson Fury to look very good, aren't they? It's going to be going free to air on ESPN over in the United States, BT Box Office over here. But I think it's all about, so far as Bob Arum and the American audience is concerned, it's about, he said to me he's going to try and do a George Foreman with Tyson Fury. He thinks that he's that sort of personality and that he can develop that sort of a following. He's confident that the MGM is going to be completely sold out for the fight. Tom Schwarz, well, how good is he? He's big, he's rugged, he's undefeated, but he's clearly not in Tyson Fury's class as a boxer, at least you wouldn't think so. So it's all set up for Fury to look very good, I imagine. But you can never take away, Danny, the fact that for Schwarz it's a tremendous opportunity. He's 24 years old, and this is a huge fight compared with what he's had in the past.
And as it is a showcase for Fury to the American audience, ESPN's available in a huge number of homes over there. Is it very important that he doesn't take this lightly and he doesn't look at it with the same attitude as his comeback fights when he really needed the rounds? He was accused maybe of carrying the opponents to an extent.
Well, Tyson is not a big one-punch knockout guy, as you know. He's more a boxer than a destructive puncher. So I think a lot will depend on what Schwarz brings into the fight. If he comes in and really goes for Tyson, then we might see him meeting him head on, and you might see the spectacular sort of performance that I'm sure Bob Arum and Frank Warren would be quite happy to see. But I think more likely is that he's going to, you've seen him so many times. He rarely produces the one big power shot. He'll go in there and bamboozle him and box him and use his movement, his length and his boxing skills. And I think he'll be trying to showcase that side of his persona rather than sort of the big one-punch knockouts.
And if it all does go to plan, what can we expect to see next from Fury? Because you would hope for quite a big step up after Schwarz.
Well, I think his next one will certainly be in the States. Who it's going to be remains to be seen. There are options out there. I don't think it's going to be a Deontay Wilder or an Anthony Joshua at this stage. It's building him into a bigger star in America, and the bigger he gets, then the bigger those big showdown fights, some stage in the future, the bigger they can become.
So perhaps maybe a Manuel Charr, or even someone known to the US audience like a Luis Ortiz, for example.
Well, Charr would be ideal, wouldn't it? He's a big, strong, fairly predictable, but a known name as a fighter. Ortiz, he's getting older. He's over 40.
Wasn't that young to begin with.
He's never been a baby, has he? I don't think. But yeah, I mean, Ortiz would be a name, and it would be certainly a viable name. There are other people out there like Jennings, for instance. Joyce, maybe. You never know. At some stage in the not too far distance, a Tyson Fury against Joe Joyce fight becomes very makeable.
And from your side, from the BT Sports side, what do you guys need to do to keep people up until whatever time it is in the morning when this will be shown? What's the key to successfully promoting a Brit abroad with the time scale difference?
I think that people will want to see Tyson. I think there's a great deal of interest out there in him. His performance coming from where he was to where he is now, and the performance against Deontay Wilder was pretty extraordinary. So I think people will be wanting to watch it, and of course it's on the same night as the Josh Warrington world title fight in Leeds. So there's going to be a huge boxing audience on that night, on the 15th, and I think that a lot of guys who've watched Josh in action up in Leeds on that Saturday night will want to stay on and join us over in Las Vegas and watch what's coming in from there.
Will it segue directly from one to the other, or will there be a break, do you know?
That I do not yet know, but I would imagine that the live show, the international feed, if it's as normal, would go at 2 o'clock. With Tyson, the last of 4 fights, fighting sometime around about 4 in the morning. But whether there's a gap or whether they choose to show it maybe with a rerun of Fury against Deontay Wilder, that'd make sense, wouldn't it? I think probably the lead show will go through to midnight, and then we'll take over and bring you all the action from Las Vegas. And of course, part and parcel of that will be looking back at some of the highlights, particularly that fight for Tyson against Deontay Wilder.
And are you going all the way through tonight?
I'll be there. Yeah, I'm going to Las Vegas. You coming over?
I'm not sure yet. I hope so.
Be there.
Brilliant. John Rawling, we thank you and best of luck with the press conference.
Thank you very much.